Hello there. Welcome to a special solo live edition of Props to Consider and Then Maybe Bet. I am your host, Lou Betya of the MMA Engine. If you haven't already, please give a like to the video. Please subscribe to the channel. It does help us a lot. Let's just dive right into this card. I see my Chronic Combat guys are in the chat. Welcome, fellas. They did a show with Uncle Weezy last night. Always a good time with everybody's favorite uncle. Let's dive right into this card. I only have 4 props that I really like. I have put a round robin in on DraftKings. I'll tell you how I did this Fletcher fight for that. If you want to spend $11 on it, it pays a shade over 10K. It has a great chance of hitting, of course. What's up, Moyes? Moyes in the chat. What's up? Chronic Combat guys. Let's just dive right in. And let's start with AJ Fletcher by submission rounds 1 or round 2. I don't like anything I've seen of Themba on tape. I know he has the measurables advantage here, but I think his ground game's pretty sloppy. I know Fletcher is 0-2 in the UFC. This is a big step down in competition for him. I feel like this is a get-right fight. I think Fletcher is going to want this thing on the ground as soon as possible because of the reach disparity. And on the ground, like I just mentioned, Themba has given up his neck in the last 4 or 5 fights. He's just not fighting grapplers good enough to take advantage of it. So I'm a little scared off by Fletcher's cardio that I've seen, so far in his 2 fights. The one against Semmelsberger is understandable. He took it on short notice. The one against Lusa was just a bizarre war, and he had nothing left in the third. But this thing gets to the third. I do not feel very confident about Fletcher even covering his tag, but I think within the first 10 minutes, he does find that neck, wrap up the submission. FanDuel has it at plus 420, sub round 1 or round 2. I know the knockout's live, but if this thing does play on the ground in the grappling, I have to like the submission a little more here. So that is the first prop to consider. Let's get rid of the 2 that are probably the low-hanging fruit of the group. We have Jordan Wright round 1 KO, which is almost his money line the way he fights at plus 600. I don't want to play the narratives here, but I know his mother just passed away, and the last time that we saw a fighter with some family issues where a family member passed away was Damon Jackson, and he absolutely knocked Pat Sabatini into next month. So this is at 205. I don't think it's going to matter in terms of Wright's fighting style. I'm not worried about how it affects his cardio. I'm not worried about how it affects his chin. It's all a matter of is he going to get off with the punches before Pugla does. I don't think Pugla's a very fast starter. And we've seen Wright in the first 30 seconds just blitz people. Bruno Silva, he almost got him out of there immediately. I think if Wright has that kind of flurry against Pugla, he does get him out in round 1. Shop around for this one, plus 600. I have seen some plus 700s out there, but DraftKings had it at plus 600. That's good enough for me here for what I think is essentially his money line, unless we get D1 Jordan Wright, which just rip up the ticket like every old man at the Borgata in the race book, because that one's done. All right, the other low-hanging fruit, Jim Miller round 2. Yes, this has been a profitable bet. Yes, this is a popular prop this week. There's a couple of things I like for Hernandez here. He's the younger fighter. He's also not making a huge weight cut. This is at 155. What I don't like is the quick turnaround. He's also had 2 bad losses, and as exciting a fighter as he is, there's a possibility he'll get cut if Miller puts him away, and it's relatively uncompetitive past the first 3-4 minutes. Jim Miller, all due respect, is one of my favorite fighters in the history of the UFC. I just love the guy. Been watching him for years. Yeah, he's getting older, but he's pretty well-rounded. He's actually going to be a far more defensively responsible fighter than Billy Q. Billy Q, another guy that I love, but what's Billy Q's strategy? Just get his ass kicked in the first round fights and then wear the guy out. I think Miller can make Hernandez expend a lot of energy in the first round, stay relatively out of trouble. If this thing hits the ground, I favor Miller. If Miller goes to the leg kicks, I think Hernandez is not going to respond well. And again, this quick turnaround after getting mauled is a lot of red flags here. So I'm just going to stick with what works. Go with Miller round 2. I see Glenn's in the chat. I see my guy, Just My 2 cents. All right, guys. Thanks for spending a very short time of your afternoon with me. Now let's get to the prop where everybody's going to think I'm crazy. And I talked about this on a show yesterday with Just My 2 cents. Let's get to Lena Landsberg split decision at plus 1,600. Okay. How does Silva win her fights? Her opponent takes her down and she gets a meme armbar. What's up, Javier? Welcome. So I don't see Landsberg going for, I am not doing an OSP Von Flue. I am not betting that fight. I'd advise you not to bet that fight, except for maybe the last play I'm going to provide in a few minutes here. We've seen this a couple of times lately with like Zarafan against Jose Nunez, where if you're going to give me a lower level fight that's going to be fought in the striking for 15 minutes, it's probably going to end up being close. Silva hasn't shown great cardio, and Landsberg, who I know is almost 41, I think her cardio is really the issue. It's not like she's so high output anyway. So if this is going to be fought in the striking or even in the clinch, where I think Landsberg throws pretty mean elbows, it's going to be competitive. This is going to go the distance probably at an 80-90% clip. If it does, I want the underdog anyway. I do have a bet on Landsberg at plus 380. But why not take the poke on the split decision? Now, if you've watched any of these shows before, shout out to my guy, Tim Triano. Him and I are the split decision people of the space. If you're going to bet a side in the split decision, you're better off betting both sides and the fight to end in split. For this one, it's plus 500 for the fight to end in split, which I think is pretty crazy to begin with. Silva plus 650. I don't love it, but you definitely want to have that as a backup here. But plus 1600 for Landsberg, who I think on the feet is at worst 50-50 here. She doesn't have the power. She's not going to knock Silva out. Silva's got a brick for her head anyway. As long as Landsberg can stay off the ground, I don't see any problem here. And if Landsberg does want to get this down to the ground, just do it in the last 30, 40 seconds of the round and stay out of trouble. Maybe seal around that way. It's going to be such a weird fight. As I said before, even in the comments, this is a meme card. Just have fun with it. This is kind of a fun bet. If you round robin all 4 plays I gave you, now I did Fletcher round 2 for DraftKings. If you throw $11 on a round robin of all 4 of these, if all 4 hit, it's going to pay a shade over 10K. So think of all the fun you can have in the Holland Tunnel with some women of the night if you won $10,000. You could go there 1,000 times and be very happy. All right, none of you guys came for this. This is what you came for. You came for yambag, so let's get right to it. There are 4 fights in this card, I think. We can have a point deduction. I know I just gave you the Landsberg split decision, but if you're going to bet a point deduction, I always like following up with a draw. Last week, I had drawback lag. I missed by 1 fight. I had the Porker Tafa fight, which in retrospect was not a wise bet. I would never have thought the Crute Menafield fight was going to go to a draw, but Yamsbags were definitely live there. So let's start with OSP and Lens. I'm not going to give you guys a huge technical analysis of the Yamabagu plays. OSP Lens, this is super low level. OSP has a pretty clear path here if he wanted to expend any energy wrestling, but he hasn't shown any kind of predilection that he wants to anymore. On the feet, I mean, OSP doesn't throw anything, and Lens, well, he's the better striker. I mean, this is the guy against Prochnio. I had him round 2 KO. The ref even said, hey, man, if you get hit 1 or 2 more times, I'm stopping it. And Lens just said, okay, I don't want it stopped. I'm just going to not throw punches. So can't trust either guy. In a vacuum, OSP is the better fighter, but he's not trustworthy anymore. If this thing gets out of the first round, this is going to look so hilariously bad. And those are the kind of fights I do like point deductions. When people get tired, shit, if OSP does go for a takedown, the cage grab's in effect, give me plus 2,000 all day. Landsberg, Bueno Silva. This is more, I don't love this one. It has happened in a couple of Silva fights. It would involve, I have to assume, just takedowns and a cage grab. Like we did see it called last week, so maybe the refs are more willing to deduct this. I don't love that one, but without a clam bag play, what are we doing here, guys? Thick Willie against Prochnio. I strangely think this is another fight that could go split decision. I can't trust William Knight. I absolutely cannot trust Prochnio. But it's another one where, what is this fight going to look like outside of the first round? Who's going to have a cardio edge? Is Knight going to go for takedowns? He should, but he probably won't because I don't think his fight IQ is great. And Prochnio is a glass cannon, but if Knight doesn't throw a lot of volume and this thing gets extended, another sloppy striking affair that, and also, and this is baked into the capping, These are two guys that when you look at their Tapology pictures, they look like they love kicking another dude in the junk. So I think it's very live here. It should probably be plus 500, but I'll take the added value. And then finally, Parisian and Pogus. Oh boy. I don't know what we're getting from Pogus here. If he goes to grappling, he should probably just ground and pound Parisian in the dust. But I don't know that I can trust him here. He's going to be a little undersized, probably. I don't know that I trust him to even implement a ground game. And this is another one. If it goes 15 minutes and it's striking, I don't love Pogus's cardio. And there's literally nothing I like about Josh Parisian, except that I think he beat Badeau. Like, I don't know what else to say about the skill set here. It's almost like these fights are an order of skill set, which is it's really saying something on this card. So if you just want to have fun, here's 4 of them. I'll add one more prop that's not listed on the screen. I don't know who you're looking at for the main event. I know this line on Blanchfield's come down to, it's almost unbettable now at plus 115. But whatever side you're on here, I can make a case for late round props. I know Fight Doesn't Go is, I think, minus 200 the last I looked, somewhere in that range. Yeah, he lost to, yeah. I mean, yeah, this is a fun factoid here. And yeah, the Von Prue. Yeah, the problem is he just doesn't even go for takedowns. So unless he can invent like a standing Von Flue choke, I don't know if he's ever going to hit one again. Whoever you're on in the main event, I can make a case here. I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm very excited for the main event. I don't love the quick turnaround of Andrade. Like her arms and hands might be tired from, like, I think Murphy just got hit 50 times since we started the show today. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I think Blanchfield going to have to go for takedowns early and often. I like her cardio. She does have an advantage in terms of having a longer camp, even though Andrade is just coming off one. She did take a little break. I think Blanchfield might struggle early to get takedowns. I think she's going to want to stay out of Andrade's range on the feet. Like, she's not going to want that smoke. We don't really know what her chin's like. I mean, Murphy's chin is just insane. So I don't know how Blanchfield's going to respond, but I do think this fight goes over 2.5 rounds. If you like either fighter, look at that round 3, round 4 prop. If Blanchfield's going to get her out of there, it's going to be because the takedowns eventually start work. She's going to be able to gas Andrade, and her top game is absolutely insane and awesome. And she just does not, she's not a position over submission type. Like that crucifix, I know it's Molly McCann, but this is a girl who loves throwing ground and pound. If she does get the takedowns going, I think a finish is live at like the 3rd or 4th round. And with Andrade, if the first round is just her defending takedowns and Blanchfield can't get the grappling going, it's only a matter of time before Andrade is going to land some shots. I don't think that Blanchfield will be able to withstand the barrage that Murphy took. So round 3, round 4, either fighter, I think, is kind of an interesting look. We're going to take a look at what we have it here. Andrade 3-4 plus 750 and Blanchfield plus 1,000. I mean, you could just play both fighters there and just hope that's where you're getting it. What's up, Pat? What's up, Effie? What's up, Tommy? Got my boys in here. So this is all I have for props for this week. We've gone 14 minutes and I've covered this tremendous offering by the UFC. If anybody has any questions in the chat, any props they're considering, and then maybe we'll bet, hit me up. You have 30 seconds before I end the video, and then we can all go home to our pets. None of the engine boys are here. They couldn't stomach this card. Lay 100 on that parlay win yourself 19 million. I will tell you that if you round robin all 4 of these, again, $1 each, it pays a shade over $230,000. And more importantly than winning $230,000, it's a story to tell your kids, your grandkids. You can clout chase on Twitter and say, hey, man, like, this is when I hit. Over under 2.5 view-worthy fights. Well, you know, look, man, we're all fans of the sport. I think I'm excited for Clayton Carpenter on this card. I'm excited for the main event. I'm always excited for a Jordan Wright fight because I'm a sick bastard. You know, they typically don't disappoint. We all have PTSD from the under 1.5 not hitting against Dusko because we got D1 Wright. But that to me is 3 fights that I think have my attention here. I guess I'm just going to scroll up here. Jim Miller Hernandez. I always like a Jim Miller fight. So let's call that 4. And then I see in the chat we have Emmers, Ishkabibble by heel hook. I mean, I think it's live. I want to bring this up. So what do I think about Askabov? So we've seen this a couple of times in the last year where somebody's had a 3-year layoff. And when I try to cap these and do tape, how much stock do you take in tape from 3 years ago? We don't know the improvements they made. Like, there's camp changes. We just don't know. What I do know about Emmers is I can't trust this guy. Like, I can't trust his fight IQ. He looks like an Adonis. His striking's pretty good. Even his grappling's all right, but I don't know what he was doing in the Sabatini fight, and he just keeps taking layoffs. But against Giga Chikadze, he looked pretty good. Strangely enough, I would probably take a Russian that I haven't seen in 3 years over Jamal Emmers, but I'm not touching this fight. The one thing I'll add is that his 23-0 record is brutally padded, and I would recommend going and watching DFS by the numbers video that he made this week on his channel. His analysis of this fight is hysterical because we're going through Ashkabov's record, and he fought Maxime Cousin, whose record is NA. Wilson Riviero, record NA. Wemba Nzuzi, NA. We don't know if these are real people. Leonid Tuov, record NA. And then we have Dwayne Van Helvoort, which sounds like the first guy you beat in a UFC video game. Bruno Borges, made up name. Donovan Desmay, made up name. So what do you do with a guy whose tape is old? I mean, and the last time we had somebody that hadn't fought for 3 years was Natalia Silva, and her tape didn't look anything like what she was in that fight. So I'd say tread lightly. There's money coming in on Ashkabov. I don't know who knows anything that I don't, but yeah, I mean, I'm treading lightly in that one. Is there anybody I'm waiting to see on the scales? I mean, yeah, I'm waiting to see Pugla and Wright because Pugla is more of a natural 205er, so he should look all right. I'm curious to see what Wright looks like. This has had to be a really hard week for him. Like, my heart does go out to him, but we've never, I'm a little curious there. I'm never curious to see Josh Parisian on the scale. I think we know the block of cheese we're getting. That breakdown was tops. Yeah, Brady is like, you guys don't know Brady. He is like crazy underrated funny. I've been talking to him for over a year. I never know if he's being sarcastic with me, and that is just an art form. Arguably could say Emmers won. Yeah, that was super close. I mean, I don't know. Like, he just avoided getting the liver kick, and I think it's like with Giga. I don't want to say it's liver kick or bust for him, but he didn't have enough volume in that one. I buy an vet experience over. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a smart way to go. I think Emmers would be the play here, if anything, at the plus money. So I'm going to probably get hammered. William Knight on the scale. I don't care about William Knight on the scale because he's going to miss weight by 12 pounds. Like, there's no way he's making this weight. He does look like a sick evil. William versus Knight, win, lose, or draw would be funny. That is funny. Well, we've gone 19 minutes on this card. I want to thank each and every one of you that took time out of your day. Please hit the like button if you can. Please subscribe to the MMA Engine channel. We have DFS content. We have Wheezy's Probability Show, which is an incredibly different and awesome look at time props. Good luck to all you guys. I would say tread lightly on your betting this week, but like, who the fuck am I to tell you to tread lightly, man? Spend whatever you want. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. 2 wrongs does not make a right. And tune in tomorrow, 5:30 p.m. on this very channel for Monk and I. As we break down last minute stuff, I will go over the track bets that I have. I'll give a little more analysis on the fights that merit it. And Monk will help you construct your lineup, even though I have to say, if you're going to listen to anybody in the DFS space, you probably want to listen to the guy who's leading Gordo's MMA Ironman tournament this year. And that's me. See you tomorrow. Later, guys.